Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be going through my Valorant Champions 2023 playoff pick'ems. I'm going to go through every game, tell you guys who I think is going to win and why, and ultimately who I think is going to win the entire tournament. Last time I picked Loud, I think, or no, it was Loud or Energy, one of those two. Um, and that did not go well. I think I picked Navi or DRX to win lock-in, one of those two. Again, I don't remember. So my track record isn't the best, but it's not horrible as of when I've been starting to upload these. But I think this one should be pretty decent. There's definitely a chance that these pick'ems go wrong for what I'm thinking of. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of those in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And then just a couple other housekeeping things. This is gonna be my last video before the end of Champions. I'm gonna be doing a Champions. I might do a Champions recap video. Not exactly sure at this time, but I'll do in that video, if I do like a recap of everything, I'll do like a awards one where it's like MVP, surprise, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. Also, I'll be doing a whole VCT season awards, which will be like MVP, Coach of the Year, Team of the Year, IGL of the Year, all that kind of stuff. And then after that, I'm gonna be starting my rebuilds, where I'm gonna go through some of the bad teams. Probably not any of these teams that made champs. Like, there's definitely more teams that can make roster moves than what I'm gonna do. But for these ones, it's just like super obvious ones that are absolutely like roster moves that have to be made. So make sure to stay tuned for all of that. And then I guess I'll mention this, even though it's going to be towards the end of the off season. I'm going to be doing a deep dive series where I go into every single team, all 33 teams in the international leagues, and maybe some of the Chinese teams, depending on how they work them into the uh, whole scene next year. We'll have to see about that. I'm not exactly sure. I think I'll definitely do one on EDG and probably Billy, but we'll have to see about that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. All right, so we'll start here at the top with, I need to actually click on the pick'em thing. Fnatic versus Loud. Um, I've seen a lot of people picking Loud here. Um, they did look very, very nice at the end of the group stage, but I don't see Fnatic losing this game. I've doubted them way too many times. Um, and I would genuinely be shocked if they lose this game, even if Loud do look even better than they did at the end of the group stage. They just need to play more of the Harbor Viper stuff. Their double or not double controller, triple controller comp on Bind was really wacky. I did not like that they played it. I wasn't terribly upset at how good it was, but it wasn't like my favorite thing. Um, but like their Haven looked very, very nice. Their split looked pretty good. And I just want them to keep expanding on that. And then the most obvious game in all of this is Paper Rex beating Foot. Um, yeah, I just don't think Foot are built to handle a Paper X caliber team. Obviously, they have the mechanics to keep up with Paper X, kind of. I would hope so, considering the Turkish scene is known for their aim. But yeah, I'm going to take Paper X in that game. And then I think we'll just go through all these games first. Next up is DRX Billy. And when the playoff bracket came out, I told myself I was going to pick Billy because DRX have not been the best playoff team um, in their history. I mean, look back to last year where the second they lost a game in playoffs, they just tilted off the face of the planet. I guess I don't know exactly what was going on in the team, um, but I think now that I've thought about it more, I'm gonna pick them. I really want to pick Billy here, and this is quite a 50-50 game because also DRX, they've changed this a little bit. Like they've gotten a lot better at this tournament, but they still do feel like the team that if you disrupt them before they can get into their flow and their plan, you can beat them pretty easily. And a team that can really do that is Billy Gaming. More so than maybe any other team in the tournament besides Paper X or EDG. Um, but I don't know. I think they just pull this one out. They don't normally lose the first round unless they're going up against Energy, which or they went up against Paper X last time and then Energy after that. But I think they'll win that game. But we'll have to see about the rest of it. And then EG EDG. Um, I had the hot take that EDG was going to go really far at the beginning of this tournament. Um, I still, I'll spoil a little bit. I still agree with that, but I'm gonna take EG here. Um, I just think they'll be better in this first round than EDG will. EDG kind of looked a little bit shaky at the beginning of groups, kind of fixed it up against Giants the second time. I'd like to see them keep building upon that. Maybe have a similar tournament trajectory to how they did at Tokyo, where the first game, little bit shaky. I mean, I guess it like their first game was more similar to how they played against Paper X, maybe their first game against T1 at Tokyo, and then their second game at Tokyo was more similar to their first game against Giants. But then that last game, they fixed everything up, both against T1 and against uh, Giants in this tournament. But I still think EG is the better team right here, right now, and I'm going to take them in this matchup. And EDG is going to go to the lowers, even though that's what they did last time. So I think it's extremely possible that they still go on a run here. And then Fnatic Paper X. We all know Paper X is the one team that can really challenge Fnatic. Um, but I'm gonna take Fnatic again. They just don't lose. I mean, what can I say? They're just the best team in the world right now. They didn't really have to play too much. Like, what was it? I don't think a team got more than like 8 rounds in a map on them. That could be completely wrong. I might be talking out of my ass, but they did not play a close map. And I think that'll help them, and especially this game and maybe later on in the tournament. I think they'll have to show a lot more in these two games than they did in their two group stage games. But we'll just have to see again. And also, like Paper X having is they have similar individual skill to Fnatic, um, maybe even better. But I think the way they play is kind of a bad matchup, but they definitely are the best team to challenge this team. Yeah, they're very, very, very good. In every sense of the way, like every phase of the game, Fnatic is one of the best teams in the world, if not the best. And I think they'll just have a decent read on Paper X, who played a few close maps here and there. Also, I really feel like Fnatic could bring out Pearl at this tournament, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, even though they banned it. I think they would wait until like later in the tournament, maybe this game, to do that, but we'll just have to see with that. And then DRX EG rematch from the uppers of the second group at Tokyo. I'm going to take EG again. DRX is the one team at this tournament that I think will would be willing to play Fracture against EG, which is a mistake. Frankly, you're not beating EG on Fracture. Fnatic couldn't do it. It's not happening. I'll give you that. And then, yeah, I also think EG is a good matchup for DRX, and they're just a better team than Billy. So I'm going to take them in that matchup. And then Loud Foot, kind of similar to Fnatic beating Foot. I'm going to take Loud here. They rebounded really, really well after losing to DRX. I wouldn't call the DRX game a smash because it was relatively close. Um, but it wasn't like a super like close game, like a maybe I'm trying to think of games like EDG Giants, maybe something like that. Um, but yeah, I think they should just easily beat Foot here. And then you have Billy versus EDG, battle of the Chinese teams, and I'm gonna take EDG. Pretty simple. They were the better team in China. I think they've looked like the better team this tournament, and I think they're going to continue to look like the better team here. And then looking at this bracket, dude, this is tragic. I hate how this has played out. Um, because I originally had Billy beating DRX, and that was my plan going into the Pickems. But I changed it now just because DRX doesn't lose that game. Usually. Now it is a 50-50, and I think I just woke up today feeling the other way on it. And I do kind of feel more safe with DRX, but I guess if we did put Billy through, I'd have EDG in this game as well, and it'd amount to about the same thing of it being just terrible. Uh, and I don't like how this plays out because it puts Paper X versus EDG in the lower round two, where we have a matchup that has played out 4 times now. I want to say champions last year in groups. Paper X won. Tokyo in the lower bracket. Paper X won, and I think it was this exact game after losing to Fnatic. This would be the 4th time. Okay, figured it out. And then once in groups where Paper X kind of smashed them, especially on the first map. And I I can't pick either of these teams because the other team, I don't know, the other team is just too good to lose here. Uh, like if you flip this bracket, I would pick either of these teams to win against the other team. It I would feel much more comfortable with this game uh being that way. Actually, how does okay. No, I just didn't think about how I guess EDG would have to win and then play DRX and win. And then Paper X would have to go through lowers or something like that. I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way that they would both get into the top four, uh, and I don't see a way. But actually, talking about the game here, I don't know who's gonna win this. Who would win this game? I won't lie. Um, I've been so high up on EDG. I think I had them rated like I want to say sixth in my power rankings in that favorites tier, the teams that could actually go and win the event, and I wouldn't be too shocked. Um, Obviously, other than Fnatic, and then Paper X I had as my second ranked team going into the tournament. Now, Paper X has been a little bit better than I thought, and EDG has been a little bit worse than I thought. But a lot of the EDG stuff with me rating them that high was a lot of projecting them to improve, which they didn't fully do in groups. I thought they were maybe a little bit better, especially in that last game, as I said before. Um, but I just think Paper X is gonna win this game. They have their number. Both teams rely heavily on individual skill, and if one of Shishu, Nobody, or Smoggy doesn't show up, EDG will lose this game, which is kind of a problem. And I think that leads to most scenarios where Paper X would win this game, and that's why I'm going to pick them. And then DRX Loud, a rematch from groups. I'm going to take Loud in that rematch. I think they've kind of found their stride a little bit more after that game. Played more Harbor Viper, as I said before, all that kind of stuff. And then Fnatic EG in the upper final rematch from Tokyo. I'm going to take Fnatic again. They just don't lose. Again, as I said before, it's not like they're going to ban Fracture in this game. And I think EG could take a map on Pearl, which is Fnatic probably is going to work on their Pearl. I think that's a very likely thing. They brought Anders back in, and I was listening. I think it was Sideshow that said it at one point that he came in and just like worked on one of their maps at one point, and I think that's going to be their Pearl, personally, so they can bring it out later in a tournament and be able to have not give EG technically a free map win, but they don't have to pull it out at all. I don't think during either of these games. You definitely don't want to play Loud on it. Even though they did lose it to Navi, I think. Yeah, they did. And they played a really weird comp. I think they should have just played their Harbor Viper as they do. Paper X is also very good at that map. And I think EG is good at that map, but they're not as good at that map as their Fracture. And I think Fnatic is going to feel a bit more comfortable playing the Pearl in this game. And that's gives EG in this game, I think. But I think Fnatic is going to take this in similar fashion to how they took the upper final at Tokyo. And then Loud Paper X. Um, I'm just going to take Paper X. I think this game is less close than the EDG Paper X one, even though I do think Loud is a very good team. If Aspas can find form, they can definitely make it very deep here. He was really bad in groups, and I don't think any of their individual players were really that good. I guess like Tui's was okay. Cowanzine had some moments. Less was less. I mean, less is not bad ever. Um, but I don't see a world where Loud bests Paper X, which with how good these teams have been, I don't think they've ever played in an international event. Like Reykjavik, they didn't play. Copenhagen, Loud got grouped, so they couldn't play. Champs, Paper X got grouped, so they couldn't play. Uh, Lock In, they didn't play because Paper X went out and won. Tokyo, they didn't play because Loud went out in two. And then this tournament, they haven't played. So this is a matchup I would love to see Aspas for something, or Jing, or Forsaken, whoever the hell is playing the duelist for Paper X. Um, but I think Paper X is going to end up winning that out. And yeah, I think this is definitely a winnable game. I think a bit more winnable than the Fnatic game for Loud, but of similar level, I think. And then we have the same top three that we had at Tokyo, except Paper X has something this time. And I think that Last Hope of NA is going to lose in the lower final here to Paper X with something. Who, I don't know, like, this is a pretty easy pick, honestly, for me. I don't know what it is necessarily. Uh, I think it's just more of that Paper X took them to map 5 in the lower final last time without something, and now they have him, and they're going to be able to win this. I think actually Paper X is another team that would take EG to Fracture. Now that I think about it, um, I hope they don't. I would have to check map pools and stuff. But all right, for Paper X's sake, I hope they wouldn't. But for EG's sake and the team that I want to win in this game, I think that would be better for them. But I think a lot of their map pool is overlapping. Like Pearl, they're both good at. I think EG can find a win on Ascent pretty easily. Um, Split, I think, is pretty even, but Paper X might be a little bit better. Lotus, Paper X is far better. Um, Bind, Paper X is better. It's just, I think Paper X has the advantage on more maps in this VO5, and that's why I'm going to take them here. And then Fnatic Paper X in the final with double map bans, and I think a map pool advantage even without that. I'm going to take Fnatic here. They're just too good. Um, I've doubted this team too many times all year. I picked them in my initial pick'ems to get like eighth, I want to say, like the top eight, like to lose to 100 Thieves in that game. Um, and then when it came around for the playoff pick'ems, like the top four, I picked them to go out in one against Navi. Then at Tokyo, I picked them to get, I think, fourth, even though I did power rank them second. When it came around to playoffs, the way the bracket played out, I thought Fnatic would get fourth. But that was wrong. Uh, and now I'm just done doubting them. They're the best team in the world. They're the best team of all time. They have the best surrounding core around an IGL of all time. I still think FNS is a better caller, but that's not me saying if I was like the GM of Fnatic and Energy offered me a trade FNS or Boaster straight up, I would take it because I do think Boaster is actually better for this team as an IGL, a super team that they don't have to work on the micro things. The players are too good for you to have to do that. And I just think Fnatic is, again, it's just too much better than the rest of the competition. I think this game will probably be closer than this one. Um, but Paper X definitely, out of all the teams, has the best shot. Maybe outside of this game against EG, but I don't really know because I think Fnatic is definitely more susceptible in BO3s, but they have by far the deepest map pool in the world, and having a double map in a grand final is just unreal for that team. So these are my pickums. I have not loud. I have Fnatic going through uppers, Paper X coming through lowers with all these placements. So if you guys want to screenshot this, tweet it at me when it's wrong, you can do that. But these are who I think is going to do this. Some teams that I think could go a little bit further than I have them. Definitely EDG. EDG is absolutely the first one. They could win, whether it be this game against Paper X, this game against EG, and then this game against DRX or Billy Billy. I could see that. Billy Billy, they could win this game. I don't see them going much further than that. I won't lie. Where would they land? They would land probably against Loud. If Fnatic loses this game to Loud, then they play against Fnatic. So they're not going too much further past this. I think they would have a shot at beating Loud, but it wouldn't be too great. Um, any other team that I think could surprise in this? Not really DRX. I think DRX could surprise by being worse, but I really don't think they'll get too much further past here, depending on matchups. So let me guys know what you think in the comments below, all that kind of stuff. Go wait for my other content, like, subscribe, turn on notifications for that stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.